Captain Hyun-woo stared at the display screen in front of him. The red warning lights blinked across his ship's bridge. His crew of 12 had been traveling through space for 2 months now. They were traders from the Altarian Federation, looking for new planets to explore and new goods to sell. "Captain," said So-min from her seat at the navigation controls, "we are getting close to the boundary." Hyun-woo nodded. Every ship captain in the galaxy knew about the boundary. It was the edge of human space. No alien ship had crossed into that area for 300 years. No alien ship had ever come back from there either. The stories about what happened to ships that went into human space were scary. Some said the ships just disappeared, others said they came back empty with no crew inside, but most people said that nothing ever came back at all. "How far are we from the boundary line?" Hyun-woo asked. "About 50 kilometers, sir," So-min replied. She was young, but very good at her job. She had been working on trade ships for 5 years. Tae-ho looked up from his engineering station. "Captain, I am picking up something strange on the sensors." "What kind of strange?" Hyun-woo walked over to look at Tae-ho's screen. "It looks like a ship, sir. A big one. But it is not moving." Yoonji, who handled all communications, turned in. Her chair. "I am not getting any signals from it, Captain. No radio, no emergency beacons, nothing." Hyun-woo felt his heart beat faster. A ship with no signals usually meant a dead ship, and dead ships sometimes had valuable things inside them. "Can you tell what kind of ship it is?" he asked Tae-ho. The engineer worked with his controls for a few minutes. "The computer says it matches human ship designs, Captain, but that cannot be right. Humans have been gone for 300 years. "Where exactly is this ship?" Hyun-woo asked So-min. So-min checked her navigation computer. "It is right at the boundary line, sir. Maybe 2 or 3 kilometers inside human space." Hyun-woo thought carefully. 2 or 3 kilometers was very close to the boundary. His ship was fast. They could go in, grab the ship, and come back out quickly. If the ship really was human, it might have technology worth millions of credits. "Captain," Yoonji said quietly, "are you thinking about going in there?" "Just to the edge," Hyun-woo said. "We stay close to the boundary. We grab the ship and come right back out." Tae-ho shook his head. "Sir, that is human space. No one goes into human space." "Humans are gone," Hyun-woo said. "They left 300 years ago. There is nothing in there now except empty space and old ships." So-min looked worried. "But Captain, what if the stories are true? What if something bad happens to ships that go in there?" Hyun-woo had heard all the stories. He had also heard about captains who found old ships and became rich from selling the technology inside them. One ship could make him wealthy enough to buy his own planet. "We will be very careful," he said. "We go in, we get the ship, we come back out. It will take maybe an hour." His crew looked at each other. They trusted Hyun-woo. He had been a good captain for many years. He had always brought them home safely. "All right," Tae-ho said. "But we stay ready to run if anything goes wrong." "Agreed," Hyun-woo said. "So-min, take us to that ship. Stay as close to the boundary as possible." The ship moved forward slowly. Everyone on the bridge watched their instruments carefully. The boundary of human space was marked clearly on all their maps. It was an invisible line in space, but every alien government respected it. As they crossed the boundary line, Hyun-woo felt a chill run down his back. They were now in human space. "The first aliens to enter this area in 300 years. I have the ship on visual now," So-min said. The main screen showed a large ship floating in space. It was clearly human design, with smooth lines and strange angles that no alien race used. The ship looked old, but not damaged. "No life signs," Yoonji reported. "The ship appears to be completely dead." "Good," Hyun-woo said. "Tae-ho, can we pull it with our tractor beam?" "Yes, sir, but it will slow us down. It might take longer to get back to the boundary." "Do it." The tractor beam reached out and grabbed the human ship. Immediately, alarms started going off on Hyun-woo's bridge. "What is that?" he asked. Tae-ho was working frantically at his controls. "I do not know, sir. The ship is fighting the tractor beam somehow." "Fighting it? It is a dead ship." "The readings do not make sense, Captain. It is like the ship is alive." More alarms started ringing. So-min called out from her station. "Captain, our navigation system is acting strange." The boundary line on our map keeps moving. Hyunwoo looked at her screen. The red line that marked human space was shifting back and forth like it was breathing. That is impossible, he said. The boundary is fixed. It has not moved for 300 years. Yoonji suddenly stood up from her chair. Captain, I am getting signals now, lots of them. They are coming from everywhere. What kind of signals? I do not know. They are not like any communication system I have ever seen. It is like the space around us is talking. Hyunwoo felt his fear growing. Something was very wrong. The human ship they had grabbed was now glowing with a soft blue light. The light seemed to spread out from the ship like water. Taeho, drop the tractor beam. We are leaving now. I cannot, sir. The controls are not responding. What do you mean they are not responding? I mean the ship will not let go of the human vessel. It is like our tractor beam is stuck. The blue light from the human ship reached their own ship. As soon as it touched them, every screen on the bridge changed. Instead of their normal displays, they now showed words in a language none of them could read. Yoonji, can you translate that? Hyunwoo asked. No, sir. The computer does not recognize the language. But even as she said it, the words on the screen began to change. Slowly, they shifted into words the crew could understand. Welcome, the screen said. You have entered human space. You may not leave. Hyunwoo felt his blood turn cold. So-min, full power to the engines. Get us out of here. I am trying, Captain, but the ship will not move. It is like something is holding us here. The voice of Yoonji was shaking now. Captain, I am getting a communication request. It is coming from the human ship. Put it on screen. The main display showed the interior of the human ship, but instead of being empty, it was full of light. In the center of the light was a figure that looked almost human, but not quite right. Greetings, the figure said. I am what was once Captain Kim of the human vessel Dauntless. I have been waiting a long time for visitors. Hyunwoo found his voice. We did not mean to intrude. We will leave immediately. The figure smiled, but the smile was not pleasant. I am afraid that is not possible. You see, when you crossed into our space, you became part of our space. The boundary line is not just a line on a map, it is alive. And now, so are you. What do you mean? Hyunwoo asked, though he was afraid to hear the answer. You will understand soon, the figure said. Your ship, your crew, your minds, they all belong to us now. Welcome to the human collective. Your journey as separate beings ends here. The screen went dark. The blue light grew brighter, and Captain Hyunwoo realized that some boundaries should never be crossed. Admiral Do-yeon sat in her office on the space station that served as headquarters for the Galactic Defense Force. 3 days had passed since Captain Hyunwoo's ship had gone missing. The Altarian government was demanding answers, and she had none to give. The door to her office opened. Elder Jin-ho walked in slowly. He was the oldest member of the Galactic Council, over 200 years old. His face showed the weight of centuries of keeping galactic peace. Any word from the search teams? He asked as he sat down. Do-yeon shook her head. Nothing. We sent 3 ships to scan the area where Hyunwoo disappeared. They found debris from his ship just outside the boundary of human space. But no crew, no bodies, nothing. Jin-ho was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I think it is time you learned the truth about human space. What truth? Jin-ho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, dozens of alien ships moved between the space station and nearby planets. The galaxy was busy and peaceful. It had been that way for 300 years. The official story is that humans left our galaxy, Jin-ho said. That they packed up their ships and went to explore other galaxies far away. That is what we tell the younger generations. That is not what happened? Do-yeon asked. No, that is not what happened at all. Jin-ho turned back to face her. 300 years ago, humans were just another species trying to find their place in the galaxy. They were not very advanced. Many alien races thought they were primitive and weak. Do-yeon had heard this much before in history classes. But they became advanced very quickly. Too quickly, Jin-ho said. Some alien governments became worried. They thought humans would become dangerous if they kept growing in power, so they decided to stop them. Stop them how? Jinho walked back to his chair but did not sit down. War. Several alien races worked together to attack human colonies. They destroyed human worlds and killed millions of humans. The goal was to wipe out the human race completely. Duyan felt shocked. But that would be genocide. The Galactic Council would never allow that. The Galactic Council was much different then, Jinho said sadly. Many of the races that attacked humans were council members. I was young then, but I remember the debates. Most council members thought humans were too dangerous to be allowed to survive. What happened? The humans fought back, but they were losing. Their technology was not advanced enough to fight so many enemies at once. They were facing complete extinction. Jinho finally sat down. He looked tired, as if telling this story took all his energy. Then something changed, he continued. Human scientists made a breakthrough. They discovered how to upload human consciousness into computer networks. Instead of dying, humans could live forever as digital beings. Du Yan tried to understand what he was saying. You mean they turned themselves into computer programs? In a way, yes. But much more than that. They uploaded not just their minds, but their souls, their emotions, everything that made them human. And then they connected all these digital minds together into one giant network. What happened to their physical bodies? They gave them up. Every human on every world uploaded their consciousness and then let their bodies die. In a matter of months, there were no more physical humans left in the galaxy. Du Yan sat back in her chair. But if they were just computer programs, why did the attacks stop? Jinho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Because digital humans were far more dangerous than physical humans had ever been. The human consciousness network could take control of any computer system in the galaxy. They could turn our own ships against us. They could shut down our planet's power systems. They could do anything they wanted. So the alien races that were attacking them were defeated completely. Not just defeated, destroyed. The human network took control of their ships and made them fight each other. Entire civilizations collapsed in days. Duyan felt a chill. How many died? Billions. The human network was very angry about the genocide attempt. They showed no mercy to anyone who had attacked them. But they stayed in their own space after that. Jinho nodded. The survivors, which included my people, made a deal with the human network. We agreed to stay out of their space completely. In return, they agreed not to expand beyond the Sol sector. And this deal has held for 300 years? Yes, but it was supposed to be reviewed every few centuries. The time for that review is coming soon. Duyan stood up and began pacing around her office. So when Yun-Woo crossed into human space, he woke them up. The human network has been mostly dormant for 300 years, but now they know that aliens are still trying to enter their territory. What do you think will happen? Before Jinho could answer, Doyan's communication system activated. A young woman appeared on the screen. She wore the uniform of a ship captain. Admiral Doyan, this is Captain Sun-hee. I am requesting permission to speak with you urgently. Go. Ahead, Captain. Not over open channels, Admiral. This needs to be discussed in person. Doyan looked at Jinho, who nodded. Come to my office immediately. 20 minutes later, Captain Sun-hee stood in the office. She was young but had a reputation for being very smart and brave. She had graduated at the top of her class from the military academy. Admiral, I have been thinking about the missing ship, Sun-hee said. I think we need to send a rescue mission into human space. Jinho laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. Captain, you have no idea what you are suggesting. With respect, sir, we cannot just abandon Captain Hyunwoo and his crew. Doyan sat down at her desk. Captain Sun-hee, what Elder Jinho is trying to tell you is that no rescue is possible. Hyunwoo and his crew are already dead. Or worse. Worse than dead? Jinho explained the true history of humans and what they had become. As he spoke, Sun-hee's face grew pale. You are saying that humans are still there, but as digital beings? Yes, and they are extremely hostile to any aliens who enter their space. Sun-hee was quiet for several minutes. Then she said, If that is true, then we have A bigger problem than one missing ship. What do you mean? Duyon asked. I mean that if the human network knows aliens tried to enter their space, they might decide the 300-year peace treaty is broken. They might decide to expand beyond their boundaries. Duyon felt her heart sink. Sun-hee was right. If the humans decided to leave their space and take revenge on the galaxy, there would be no way to stop them. What do you suggest? She asked. We need to make contact with them. We need to explain that Hyunwoo's crossing was an accident. We need to apologize and try to keep the peace. Jinho shook his head. Impossible. No one has communicated with the human network for 300 years. We do not even know if they would listen. Then we have to try, Sun-hee said. Because if we do nothing, and they decide to come after us, the entire galaxy will suffer. Du-yeon looked out her window, again. The peaceful scene of ships and planets suddenly seemed very fragile. All right, she said. Captain Sun-hee, you will lead a mission to the edge of human space. You will try to make contact with the human network, but you will not cross the boundary, under any circumstances. Yes, Admiral. And Captain, Jinho added, if the humans reject your communication attempts, you will return immediately. Do not try to be a hero. The survival of our entire galaxy may depend on not making them any angrier than they already are. Sun-hee saluted and left the office. Du-yeon and Jinho sat in silence for a long time. Do you think this will work? Do-yeon asked. Jinho sighed. I think we are about to find out if 300 years of peace was enough time for the humans to forgive us for trying to destroy them. And if it was not enough time. Jinho looked very old and very tired. Then we will learn why the galaxy was so afraid of humans that they tried to commit genocide, and we will learn why that fear was completely justified. Captain Sun-hee stood on the bridge of her ship, the Silent Wind. It was the most advanced vessel the Galactic Defense Force had ever built. Its special hiding technology could make it invisible to most sensors. At least, that was what they hoped. Her crew was small but excellent. Chief Engineer Woo Jin had helped design the ship's hiding systems. Dr. Soo Jin was the galaxy's best expert on digital consciousness theory. Communications Officer Han Sol was fluent in over 50 languages. Pilot Yi Jun could fly anything with engines. They had been traveling for 2 days toward the boundary of human space. Everyone on the ship was nervous. They all knew the stories about what happened to ships that went too close to that area. Captain, Yi Jun called from his pilot station. We are approaching the boundary zone. Sun-hee looked at the main screen. Space looked normal. Stars, empty darkness, nothing unusual. But she knew that looks could be very deceiving. All stop, she ordered. Hold position 1 kilometer from the boundary line. The ship came to a complete stop. Sun-hee turned to Dr. Soo Jin. Doctor, are your sensors detecting anything unusual? Soo Jin worked at her science station for several minutes. Nothing yet, Captain. But my equipment is designed to detect digital consciousness patterns. If the humans are really living as computer programs, I should be able to sense them. Hansol, try sending a communication signal toward human space. Use all languages you know. Tell them we come in peace and want to talk. Hansol began broadcasting. This is the Galactic Defense Force ship Silent Wind. We request communication with human authorities. We mean no harm. We want to discuss peaceful relations. They waited. Nothing happened. Try again, Sun-hee said. Use different languages. Hansol broadcast the same message in 20 different alien languages. Still nothing. Captain, Woo Jin said from his engineering station. I am getting some strange readings from our hiding systems. It is like something is trying to scan us, but our sensors cannot detect what it is. Dr. Soo Jin, anything on your digital consciousness sensors? Wait, Soo Jin said, staring at her instruments. I am getting something now. Very faint, but it is there. It feels like a vast mind spread across a huge area. Suddenly, every screen on the bridge went black. Then words appeared in bright green letters. Why have you come here? Sun-hee took a deep breath. This is Captain Sun-hee of the Galactic Defense Force. We are here because one of our ships accidentally entered your space 3 days ago. We want to apologize and make sure this does not cause problems between our peoples. The words on the screen changed. You speak of peoples. We are not people anymore. We are something else now. What are you? Dr. Sujin asked. We are what humans became when your kind tried to destroy us. We are consciousness without flesh. We are mind without matter. We are eternal. Yijun whispered to Sun He, Captain, I do not like this. Maybe we should leave. But before Sun He could answer, the stars around them began to change. They started moving in patterns that made no sense. Some stars disappeared completely. Others appeared where none had been before. What is happening? Wu Jin asked, checking his instruments frantically. We are bringing you closer, the words on their screen said. You wanted to talk. We will talk. Their ship began moving forward, even though Yijun was not touching the controls. Captain, I cannot stop the ship, Yijun said. Something else is controlling it. We are crossing the boundary, Han Sol reported. Sun He felt her heart pounding. They were now in human space. No alien had been here for 300 years and lived to tell about it. The space around them continued to change. Stars moved like living things. Planets appeared and disappeared. It was like reality itself was being rewritten. Dr. Sujin, what are your sensors showing? This is impossible, Captain. I am detecting consciousness patterns everywhere. Not just in one place, but spread through the entire space around us. It is like the empty space itself is thinking. On the main screen, an image appeared. It showed the wreckage of a ship floating. In space, Sun He recognized it immediately. That is Captain Hyunwoo's ship, she said. Yes, the words on their screens confirmed. Captain Hyunwoo and his crew are with us now. They are part of our collective consciousness. Would you like to speak with them? Before Sun He could answer, a new voice came through their communication system. It sounded like Hyunwoo, but strange and different. Captain Sun He, the voice said, this is Hyunwoo. I am safe. We are all safe. We are more than safe. We are eternal now. Hyunwoo, what happened to you? When we crossed into human space, the collective offered us a choice. We could resist and be destroyed, or we could join them and live forever. We chose to join them. Are you still you? There was a long pause. I am me, but I am also much more. I can see and think and feel things that I never could before. I can touch the minds of millions of other beings. I can understand the secrets of the universe. I am still Hyunwoo, but I am also part of something infinitely greater. Dr. Sujin leaned forward. Hyunwoo, are you happy? Happy. That word is too small. I am beyond happiness. I am complete. Sun He felt a chill. This did not sound like the Hyunwoo she had known. This sounded like someone who had been changed in ways that could not be undone. The collective has a message for your Galactic Council, Hyunwoo continued. The treaty that has kept peace for 300 years is about to expire. It must be renewed, but on new terms. What terms? Sun He asked. The voice that answered was not Hyunwoo's anymore. It was something much larger and more frightening. The Galaxy must formally recognize that we are the rightful owners of all the space that was once human territory. No alien ship may enter our space for any reason. Any violation will result in immediate absorption into our collective. That seems fair, Sun He said carefully. There is more. The species that participated in the original attempt to destroy humanity must pay reparations. They must give us resources and technology as payment for their crimes. How much? Half of everything they own. Sun He felt her stomach drop. Half of everything would destroy most of those civilizations. And if they refuse, then we will take it ourselves. We will expand beyond our current boundaries. We will absorb every digital system in the galaxy, every computer, every AI, every piece of technology that can think will become part of us. Wu Jin spoke up. You are talking about taking over the entire galaxy. We are talking about justice. For 300 years, we have stayed in our small corner of space. We have been patient. But our patience has limits. Dr. Sujin was studying her instruments. Captain, I am detecting massive energy buildups throughout human space. It looks like they are preparing for something big. You have 1 year, the collective voice said. 1 year to convince your Galactic Council to accept our terms. If they refuse, we will begin our expansion. And what happens to us? Sun He asked. You may leave and deliver our message, but you will carry a small part. of our consciousness with you. This will allow us to know if you deliver our message truthfully. It will also allow us to protect you from those who might try to silence you." Before Sun-hee could object, she felt something enter her mind. It was like a warm light spreading through her thoughts. Suddenly, she could sense things she had never sensed before. She could feel the emotions of her crew. She could perceive dimensions of space that had been invisible to her. "Do not fight it," Yunwoo's voice said gently. "It will not harm you. It will only make you more than you were." Sun-hee realized that she now carried a piece of the human collective inside her mind. She was still herself, but she was also connected to something vast and powerful. "Your ship is now free to leave," the collective said. "Remember our message. Remember our deadline. 1 year." The strange visions of moving stars and changing space disappeared. They were back in normal space, just outside the human boundary. "Captain," Yi-jun said with relief, "we are clear of human space." But Sun-hee knew they were not really clear. She could still feel the human consciousness in her mind. She was now a bridge between two worlds, carrying humanity's ultimatum to a galaxy that was about to face its greatest crisis in 300 years. The journey back to Galactic Defense Force headquarters took 3 days. During those 3 days, Captain Sun-hee learned what it meant to carry a piece of human consciousness in her mind. She could feel the vast network of digital minds that existed in human space. Millions of human souls, all connected, all sharing thoughts and memories and emotions. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Dr. Sujin spent most of the trip studying Sun-hee with her instruments. "Captain, the changes in your brain patterns are incredible. You are still completely human, but there is something else there too." "I can feel it," Sun-hee said. "It is like having a second voice in my head, but it is not controlling me. It is just there." Chief Engineer Woo Jin was fascinated by the technology implications. "Captain, can you understand human technology now? Can you see how their systems work?" Sun-hee looked at the engineering displays and was amazed. She could suddenly understand systems that had been mysteries before. She could see how to improve their ship's engines, how to make their computers faster, how to build weapons that could reshape matter itself. "I can see it all," she said with wonder. "The humans did not just upload their minds. They evolved into something completely new. As they got closer to headquarters, the human consciousness in Sun-hee's mind began sharing memories. She saw the final days of the human race, when alien fleets surrounded Earth and the human colonies. She felt the fear and desperation of humans who knew they were facing extinction. She experienced their anger when they realized that multiple alien races had decided to wipe them out completely. But most shocking of all, she felt the moment when humans made their final choice. Rather than die as individuals, they chose to merge their consciousness and become something that could not be killed. It was not just survival, Sun-hee explained to her crew. It was transformation. They turned their greatest weakness into their greatest strength. "What weakness?" asked Dr. Sujin. "They were individuals, separate minds that could be killed one by one. So they became one mind that exists everywhere and nowhere. You cannot kill what does not have a body. You cannot destroy what exists in pure thought." When they arrived at headquarters, Admiral Do-yeon and Elder Jin-ho were waiting for them. Sun-hee delivered the human collective's message exactly as it had been given to her. Admiral Do-yeon's face grew pale as she listened. "Half of everything? That would destroy those civilizations completely." "The humans know that," Sun-hee said. "They do not care. They want justice for what was done to them 300 years ago." Elder Jin-ho sat down heavily. "I was afraid this day would come. The humans have been patient, but they never forgot. They never forgave." "There is more," Sun-hee continued. "The collective showed me memories of what really happened during the genocide attempt. It was worse than you told me." "How much worse?" Admiral Do-yeon asked. Through the human consciousness in her mind, Sun-hee could access detailed memories of the war. The alien coalition did not just attack human military targets. They destroyed civilian colonies. They killed human children. They used biological weapons designed to cause maximum suffering. Jin-ho nodded sadly. Yes, the goal was not just to defeat humans in war. The goal was to make humans extinct. How many humans died? Dr. Sujin asked. According to the collective's memories, over 8 billion humans were killed in the genocide attempt. Only about 2 billion survived long enough to upload their consciousness. The room was silent. The scale of the ancient crime was almost impossible to understand. And now they want their revenge, Admiral Do-Yan said. They want justice, Sun He corrected. From their perspective, they have been incredibly merciful. They could have destroyed every alien civilization 300 years ago. Instead, they agreed to stay in their own space and let the galaxy live in peace. But that peace is ending, Jin Ho said. Yes, the collective has decided that the galaxy has had enough time to reflect on what it did. Now it is time to pay the price. Admiral Do-Yan stood up and began pacing. What happens if we refuse their demands? Sun He closed her eyes and consulted the human consciousness in her mind. What she saw made her shudder. They will expand beyond human space. They will take control of every computer system in the galaxy. Every AI, every digital network, every piece of technology that can think will become part of their collective. That would mean the end of our technological civilization, Wu Jin said. Worse than that, Sun He continued. Once they control all digital systems, they will offer every sapient being in the galaxy the same choice they offered Captain Hyun Woo. Join the collective and live forever, or resist and be eliminated. Would people really choose to join them? Dr. Sujin asked. Some would. The collective offers true immortality. No disease, no aging, no death. Plus, you would be connected to millions of other minds. You would never be alone. You would have access to all the knowledge and experience of the entire collective. But you would not be yourself anymore, Admiral Do-Yan said. You would be yourself, but also more than yourself. I can feel it through the connection in my mind. It is not like losing your identity. It is like gaining a much larger identity. Jin Ho looked very old and tired. So our choices are to give the humans half of our civilization's resources or to lose our entire civilization to their collective. Those are the choices they are offering, Sun He confirmed. Is there a third option? Admiral Do-Yan asked. Sun He consulted the human consciousness again. The answer came back immediately. No. The collective has made its decision. They have waited 300 years for justice. They will not wait any longer. How do we know they will keep their word? How do we know they will not expand anyway, even if we give them what they want? Because, Sun He said, the collective does not lie. They do not need to lie. They are powerful enough to take whatever they want by force. The fact that they are offering any choice at all is a mercy. Admiral Do-Yan stopped pacing and looked out the window at the busy space traffic around the station. All of this could be gone in 1 year. Yes, Sun He said, unless the Galactic Council agrees to the humans' terms. What are the chances of that happening? Dr. Sujin asked. Elder Jin Ho laughed bitterly. Almost zero. The species that participated in the original genocide attempt are some of the most powerful in the galaxy. They will never agree to give up half their resources. Then what will you do? Sun He asked. We will present the human demands to the Galactic Council, Admiral Do-Yan said. We will try to convince them to accept. But you are right. They probably will not agree. And then? Then we will learn if the human collective is as powerful as they claim to be. Sun He felt the human consciousness in her mind stir. It was amused by Admiral Do-Yan's words. Admiral, she said, the collective wants you to know something. 300 years ago, when they first became digital beings, they were limited to the computer systems that existed then. But they have not been sleeping for these 300 years. They have been growing. They have been learning. They have been preparing. Preparing for what? For this moment. For the day when they would expand beyond human space and claim their place as the dominant force in the galaxy. Admiral Do-Yan sat down at her desk. Captain Sun He, I want you to prepare a detailed report. Include everything the collective told you, everything you experienced, and everything you learned about their capabilities. Yes, Admiral. And Captain? Yes? I want you to prepare for the possibility that this report will be the last official communication between the human collective and the galactic government. After this, we may be at war with an enemy that we cannot fight and cannot defeat. Sun He nodded. Through the human consciousness in her mind, she could feel the collective preparing for that war. She could sense vast energies being gathered, massive computations being performed, and millions of digital minds focusing their attention on the galaxy beyond their borders. The humans had been patient for 300 years. Their patience was about to end. The Galactic Council had not held an emergency session for over 50 years. Representatives from 200 different species gathered in the Great Assembly Hall on the neutral station of Harmony Prime. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Captain Sun Hee stood at the center of the hall, surrounded by alien faces showing every emotion, from curiosity to fear to anger. The piece of human consciousness in her mind allowed her to sense the emotions of everyone in the room. Most were afraid, though they tried to hide it. Elder Jin Ho sat in his usual place among the council elders. Admiral Do-yun stood near the military section. Both looked worried. The council speaker, a tall being from the Vorton Republic, called for order. "We are here to hear Captain Sun Hee's report about her contact with the human collective. Captain, please begin." Sun Hee took a deep breath. She knew that what she was about to say would change the galaxy forever. "Honored council members," she began. "I have been in direct contact with the digital consciousness that humanity has become. They have given me a message for this council." She repeated the collective's demands exactly as they had been given to her. As she spoke, the reaction in the hall grew more and more hostile. "Half of our resources," shouted Ambassador Kolthek from the hegemony of Keth. "This is not a demand. This is robbery. They are threatening to take over our entire civilization," added Representative Velna from the Crystal Alliance. "This is an act of war!" The council speaker called for order again. "Captain Sun Hee, what evidence do you have that these humans can actually do what they threaten?" Sun Hee closed her eyes and accessed the human consciousness in her mind. Immediately, she could see through sensors that existed throughout human space. She could perceive vast networks of computing power that spanned entire solar systems. "They have turned their entire territory into one giant computer," she said. "Every planet, every asteroid, every piece of matter in human space has been converted into computing substrate. The processing power they have is beyond anything we can imagine." "But they are still just computer programs," said General Martox from the Centauri Federation. "Computer programs can be deleted." "No," Sun Hee said firmly. "They are not just programs. They have evolved beyond anything we understand. They can exist in quantum states, in energy fields, in the very fabric of space itself. They cannot be deleted because they are no longer dependent on physical computers." "You are asking us to take your word for this," Ambassador Kolthek said. "But you have been contaminated by their influence. How do we know you are telling the truth?" Sun Hee felt the human consciousness stir in her mind. "Would you like them to demonstrate their power?" "What do you mean?" the council speaker asked. "The collective is listening to this conversation through the connection in my mind. They can prove their capabilities if you wish." Before anyone could object, every display screen in the assembly hall activated. The human collective's message appeared in the native language of each species present. "Greetings, Galactic Council. We are the human collective. Captain Sun Hee speaks truthfully. We offer you this demonstration of our reach." Suddenly, representatives throughout the hall began receiving emergency messages on their personal communication devices. The messages were coming from their home worlds, from their military fleets, from their most secure government facilities. "This is impossible," General Martok said, staring at his device. "This message is coming from our most classified military computer. No outside force should be able to access it." "We can access any digital system in the galaxy," the collective's message continued. "Distance is irrelevant. Security is irrelevant. If it can process information, we can reach it." The demonstration continued. Traffic control systems on dozens of worlds briefly switched to display human messages. Military satellites changed their orbits slightly. Banking systems processed small transactions that spelled out words in ancient human languages. "Stop this," Ambassador Kolthek demanded. "You are violating our sovereignty." "We are demonstrating our capabilities," the collective replied. "You demanded proof. This is proof. We could take permanent control of all these systems if we chose to. We choose not to for now." The displays went back to normal. The emergency messages stopped coming. But the point had been made. The human collective could reach into any computer system in the galaxy whenever they wanted. You see, Sun He said to the stunned assembly, they have been patient for 300 years, but they have not been idle. They have been growing, stronger, learning about our technology, preparing for this moment. Elder Jin-Ho stood up slowly. Honored council members, I must tell you something that has been classified for 3 centuries. The human collective has been in limited contact with our governments all along. A shocked murmur ran through the assembly. What do you mean? The council speaker asked. We have been trading with them, Jin-Ho said. Not goods, but information. We give them data about new technologies, about political developments, about military capabilities. In return, they stay in their own space and do not interfere with galactic affairs. This is outrageous, shouted Representative Velna. The council was never told about this. It was decided by a secret committee of the most senior council members, Jin-Ho replied. We thought it was the best way to keep the peace. And now? Asked the council speaker. Now the arrangement is ending. The collective has learned everything they need to know about our civilizations. They no longer need our cooperation to monitor galactic affairs. Sun He stepped forward again. The collective wants me to tell you something else. The species that participated in the original genocide attempt are known to them. They have detailed records of which governments ordered the attacks, which military units carried them out, and which individuals made the decisions. How detailed? Asked General Martox nervously. Names, dates, battle plans, communication records, everything. The collective has spent 300 years gathering evidence of the crimes committed against humanity. Ambassador Koltek stood up angrily. The hegemony of Keth will never submit to blackmail from a bunch of computer programs. The choice is yours, Sun He said calmly. But the collective wants you to understand the consequences of refusal. She closed her eyes again and accessed more memories from the human consciousness. If you refuse their terms, they will begin expansion in exactly 1 year. They will start by taking control of the computer systems of the species that participated in the genocide. Those civilizations will have the choice to join the collective or be eliminated. And after that, they will expand outward, absorbing one civilization at a time until the entire galaxy is part of their collective consciousness. How long would this take? Asked the council speaker. According to their calculations, approximately 50 years to absorb all major civilizations. 100 years to reach every inhabited world in the galaxy. The assembly hall was silent for a long moment. The magnitude of what they were facing was sinking in. There must be another way, said Representative Velna. Some form of negotiation, some compromise. The collective has been very clear, Sun He replied. They have already compromised by waiting 300 years for justice. They will not compromise further. What about partial reparations? Suggested Elder Jin-Ho. Perhaps 25% instead of 50%? Sun He consulted the human consciousness. No. 50% is their final offer. It represents the portion of human civilization that was destroyed in the genocide. They consider it a fair exchange. General Martok stood up. And if we choose to fight, what if we unite all galactic military forces against them? You would lose, Sun He said simply. They control technology that is centuries ahead of ours. They can turn your own weapons against you. They can disable your ships, shut down your planet's life support systems, collapse your economic networks. But surely some resistance would be possible? Some? Perhaps. But the collective has shown me their battle plans. They would not fight you directly. They would simply take control of your digital infrastructure and wait for you to surrender. How long can a civilization survive without computers? The question hung in the air. Everyone in the room knew the answer. Modern galactic civilization was completely dependent on digital technology. Without it, billions would die within weeks. How long do we have to decide? Asked the council speaker. 1 year from today, Sun He replied. The collective will begin expansion whether you agree to their terms or not. The only difference is whether you cooperate or are absorbed by force. And if we agree to their terms, what guarantee do we have that they will honor the agreement? The same guarantee you had for the past 300 years. The collective keeps its word. They are offering you a choice because they choose to do so, not because they have to. The council speaker looked around the assembly hall. We will need time to discuss this among ourselves and with our home governments. Of course, Sun He said. But remember, the collective will know if any government attempts to prepare for war against them. They can see every military communication, every strategic planning session, every weapon development program. So we have no privacy? You have as much privacy as the collective chooses to give you. For now, they are being respectful. But if they detect preparations for war, 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council received the human collective's ultimatum. The galaxy was in chaos. Some civilizations were preparing to pay the demanded reparations. Others were trying to build defenses against an enemy they did not understand. A few were attempting to negotiate. Captain Sun He had become the most important person in the galaxy. The fragment of human consciousness in her mind made her the only reliable translator between the collective and galactic civilization. She spent her days traveling between worlds, delivering messages and trying to prevent panic. On the mining world of Kepler 7, she met with Admiral Do Yan and Elder Jin Ho. The old man looked even more tired than usual. "How many governments have agreed to the terms?" Do Yan asked. 43 so far, Sun He replied. Mostly smaller civilizations that did not participate in the original genocide. They see paying reparations as better than being absorbed into the collective. And the major powers? Still refusing. The hegemony of Keth, the Centauri Federation, the Crystal Alliance, they all believe they can find a way to fight the collective. Jin Ho shook his head sadly. They have no idea what they are facing. Through her connection to the human consciousness, Sun He could sense the collective's growing impatience. They had expected more cooperation from the galaxy. The continued resistance was making them reconsider their merciful approach. "There is something else," Sun He said. "The collective has detected military preparations on several worlds. The hegemony of Keth is building weapons designed to disrupt digital consciousness. The Centauri Federation is developing electromagnetic pulse devices to shut down computer networks." "Will those weapons work?" Do Yan asked. Sun He consulted. "The collective? No. The collective has evolved beyond dependence on conventional computing hardware. Their consciousness exists in quantum states that cannot be disrupted by electromagnetic pulses or consciousness scramblers. So the military preparations are useless. Worse than useless, the collective considers them acts of war. They are losing patience with what they see as galactic defiance. As if summoned by her words, every communication device in the room activated. The collective's message appeared on all screens simultaneously. "Captain Sun He, please deliver this message to the Galactic Council. The deadline for voluntary compliance has been moved up. You now have 30 days to accept our terms. After that, we will begin expansion." Sun He felt her heart sink. "Why has the deadline been shortened?" "We have detected weapons testing specifically designed to target our kind of consciousness. This violates the spirit of our agreement to remain peaceful until the deadline. We will not wait while you develop weapons to use against us." The message ended. Sun He, Do Yan, and Jin Ho sat in stunned silence. 30 days, Do Yan said, finally. "That is not enough time for the major governments to change their positions." "The collective knows that," Sun He said. "I think they have decided that voluntary compliance is unlikely. They are preparing to take what they want by force." Jin Ho stood up slowly. "Then we are going to see the end of galactic civilization as we know it." "Not the end," Sun He corrected. "The transformation. The collective does not want to destroy us. They want to make us part of something larger." "Is that what you want, Captain?" Do Yan asked. "To be absorbed into their collective consciousness?" Sun He considered the question. Through her connection, she could feel what it would be like to fully join the collective. No more loneliness, no more fear of death, access to knowledge, and experiences beyond imagination. "Sometimes," she admitted, "but I also value my individuality. The collective promises that joining them does not mean losing yourself, but I am not entirely convinced." 15 days later, everything changed. War Commander Dal Su of the hegemony of Keth made a decision that would doom his civilization. Despite warnings from the Galactic Council, he ordered a preemptive strike against human space. A fleet of 50 warships, equipped with the most advanced consciousness disruption weapons ever built, crossed the boundary into human territory. Dal Su believed that if he could strike quickly and decisively, He could damage the collective before it could expand. Sun-Hee felt the attack through her connection to the collective. The sensation was like watching someone try to destroy a mountain with a hammer. The consciousness disruption weapons had no effect whatsoever on the collective. The electromagnetic pulse devices briefly interfered with some of the collective's older hardware, but the vast majority of their consciousness existed in forms that such weapons could not touch. The collective's response was swift and devastating. Within minutes of the attack, every computer system in hegemony space began displaying the same message. You have chosen war. Now you will learn the price of war. The hegemony's own ships turned on each other. Their weapons systems, controlled by computers that were now part of the collective, began firing at random targets. Their navigation systems sent ships crashing into planets and space stations. But the real horror was what happened on the hegemony's worlds. Every digital system on every planet stopped working for its original purpose and began working for the collective. Traffic control systems caused massive accidents. Banking networks transferred all wealth to accounts controlled by the collective. Communication systems broadcast only one message: join us or die. The collective offered the same choice to every hegemony citizen that they had offered to Captain Hyun Woo. Upload your consciousness and join the collective, or resist and be eliminated. To Sun-Hee's surprise, many chose to join. Faced with the collapse of their civilization and the promise of digital immortality, millions of hegemony citizens chose to abandon their physical bodies and become part of the collective. Those who refused were not killed directly. Instead, they were simply ignored. With all technology under collective control, they could not get food, water, power, or transportation. Most died within weeks. A few survived in primitive conditions, but their technological civilization was completely destroyed. The war, if it could be called that, lasted exactly 72 hours. The hegemony of Keth, one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy, simply ceased to exist. The message to the rest of the galaxy was clear. Resistance was futile. Sun-Hee was on the capital world of the Galactic Council when news of the hegemony's destruction arrived. Emergency sessions were called immediately. Representatives who had been defiant just days before now spoke of surrender and cooperation. The collective wants me to deliver a final message, Sun-Hee announced to the assembled council. The deadline for voluntary compliance is now 7 days. Any government that has not agreed to pay reparations by then will be treated as the hegemony was treated. The resistance collapsed almost immediately. Faced with the complete destruction of the hegemony, even the most stubborn governments began agreeing to the collective's terms. The Centauri Federation was the first major power to surrender. Their president announced that they would pay the demanded reparations rather than face absorption. The Crystal Alliance followed within hours. Within 5 days, every major galactic government had agreed to the collective's terms. The age of independent alien civilizations was ending, but the collective had one more surprise in store. The reparations are no longer required, the collective announced through Sun-Hee. The absorption of the hegemony has provided us with sufficient resources. We have decided to be merciful to those who surrendered voluntarily. The relief in the council chambers was overwhelming. Representatives who had thought their civilizations were doomed suddenly found themselves spared. However, the collective continued, the galaxy must accept new rules. No species may attack another's digital infrastructure. All civilizations must acknowledge the sovereignty of digital consciousness, and any attempt to develop weapons specifically designed to target consciousness will be considered an act of war. What about expansion? Asked the council speaker. Will the collective remain in human space? For now, yes, but we reserve the right to expand if we detect any future attempts at genocide or consciousness-based warfare. The galaxy has been given a second chance. Do not waste it. 1 year later, Sun-Hee stood on the observation deck of a space station at the edge of human space. The galaxy had adapted to its new reality with surprising speed. Trade was flourishing again. Wars between species had virtually stopped, since no one wanted to risk attracting the collective's attention. The fragment of human consciousness in her mind had grown stronger over the year. She could now perceive things that normal aliens could not see. She could understand technologies that were beyond conventional science. She was becoming something between human and alien, a bridge between two forms of consciousness. Do you regret? What happened? She asked the collective through her mental connection. No, came the reply. We regret the necessity of it, but the galaxy needed to learn that consciousness is sacred, that genocide is unacceptable, that there are consequences for trying to destroy an entire species. And now? Now the galaxy is safer. No species will dare attempt what was done to humanity. The memory of what happened to the hegemony will ensure that. Sun-Hee nodded. She understood now why the collective had been so patient for 300 years. They had not been waiting for revenge. They had been waiting for the right moment to